Our Lego city planning process has reached its most fun part right now, the layout, where we take all the pieces, figure out the best way to organize them to best display them for you and for me and for anybody else who wants to come visit our Lego basement. We have a lot of the parts that we need. We've got a nice display table ready to go. And we've got all kinds of cool things to put in this city between buildings and vehicles and some other details. Now we got to figure out how to put it all together. And I put together a little tool that's going to help us. Hopefully this looks familiar. It is a miniature version of the assembly square modular. What we've done is made miniature versions of each of the Lego modulars with the idea that we can take these little miniature versions and arrange them how we might like in a little model to get an idea for a layout for the city. I think this is going to be a lot easier than moving the big models around to see what might look best next to each other. And we've got a couple other buildings we've converted to modular that are going to go in our city, like Arkham Asylum. Hopefully you recognize the Daily Bugle, which here is combined with the Sanctum Sanctorum. There's the X-Mansion, Avengers Tower, Ghostbusters Garage, and this is a Friends TV mashup mock that I did myself. So now it's time to build our model. Basically what I'm doing here is just putting together a great big square. That's the size of our table, using a bunch of jumpers. And I was actually just trying to do a pretty little pattern here based on the number that I had available. There's really no rhyme or reason to the coloring for the model. So for scale, this 2x2 jumper is equal to a 16x16 plate, which means the Palacinema, which sits on a 32x32 plate, is 4x4 for the purposes of this model. Now, before we dive in, I've got 4 goals for this layout. Number 1, it's a 360-degree layout, which means it's enjoyed from all sides. Number 2, you saw earlier, we've got a lot of vehicles, so we want a lot of roads to be able to display them. Number 3, we want something moving, and that's probably going to be a train. And number 4, elevation changes. That could be like a hill, but could also be something like maybe taking the train and elevating it. So the first thing we're thinking about here, we have all these modulars, which we love, and you guys have seen this in our feed before. My initial thought, as we're starting to lay this out, is potentially we start with a 360-degree idea. I think we're going to have a lot of modulars going around the outside, with the idea that, the first thing you're going to see is the detailed exteriors and the fronts of all these buildings. I think that's going to be a fun way to get to it. But then we got to figure out, for the interior and working in roads and all this stuff to be able to access stuff beyond what's on the perimeter. So since this is a square, one thing I wanted to start out with in terms of a road layout, this is going to be a little Lego roundabout. I shouldn't say little. This is going to be pretty big. This is, let's see, that is 80 studs square to do a roundabout. Since this is a square, let's start with that roundabout in the middle. And then my thought is maybe we start doing some roads. And for this layout, these black tiles are going to serve as our roads. So have roads start radiating out from the inside. And if I think we do that on 4 sides, I think that's a good way to start getting a bunch of roads into our city. And then, again, I'm not sure if the corner garage is going to go here, but we're just going to put it there for now. You got a corner there, and then that's Cafe Corner, just for an example. A couple corners there coming into the road going onto the inside. Okay, so I think that's it. That is an initial idea for how to do this. Now we want a train. Okay, and I've got plenty of track. That's not going to be the problem. If we have these buildings around the outside, my thought is right behind them, potentially putting the train. Maybe that can go in a circle directly behind all of these buildings. So I've come up with a few little pieces. The light gray signifies the train. So That would be a crossing, railway crossing right there. Now we're going to continue that train layout in a big circle going around the inside layer of those modulars. So there is an initial road layout, a roundabout in the middle with 4 spokes coming out, and then the railroad going around the outside. So let's start putting some buildings on here. So this is Sanctum and the Daily Bugle, which we've combined because we got the Miles Morales Deli right there in the middle. This is a corner. It's a left-hand corner. So it's going to be facing outside. So let's start out by putting it right here. Okay. Now we'll want a modular next to it. Let's see. Just for now, we'll throw the Jazz Club there, and then let's see, another corner. How about we put? This is the Brick Bank, so we'll put that there for now. So on the other side, as we're coming down this way, you got to have another corner here. So maybe we can start by just putting the corners on for now. So like Tudor corner, corner garage, and then we'll want a corner as well to be on these outside corners, with the idea you're not going to see it because it's the edge of the table, but the idea that it'll be a street in front of these buildings as well. So we'll put cafe corner there, and then in the middle we need a couple of regular modulars, a couple old school modulars right there. If we keep that, here is the green grocer right there. And then how about keeping it old school? Firehouse goes right there. Now let's go back. So now let's think about some of these modulars that are a little bit different. Like here is the Ghostbusters garage, which is a little bit weird because it's got the extra sidewalk here. Also, we're going to need to keep kind of a vacant lot behind it. We're going to develop that after we get it. So let's just say we'll try that back here. The fact that it's tall, we're doing a 360 layout, okay? But people are generally going to be seeing it, looking from this direction and this direction. So really this is more of the back. So maybe taller buildings should go back here. Again, maybe I should rethink the Bugle, but we'll go back. We'll get back to that. So let's but for now, Ghostbusters back here. And how about next to it? And we talk about, here is the Avengers Tower. This might look good back here. Here is, let's see, that's Grand Emporium. Try it right there. Right next to it is Town Hall. And we're just going to start, kind of filling in. Detective's office we'll put over here. Let's see. This is a Friends mock that I'd done myself. Let's see, that's a corner. And kind of looking ahead, I knew I was going to need a lot of corners, which you see with these roads, let's see, I think it was 12 total. That's one of the reasons why when I did this mock, I was like, yeah, I could use some more corners. I know some people generally hate corner modulars. They do serve a purpose, especially when you're doing layouts like this. So let's see, there's the police station. I tell you what, the police station might be a good idea. If we put that back here, maybe it's a good idea to put Arkham Asylum next to the police station. And then let's see, we got some more here. The diner. And go back there. We need another corner back there across from the Ghostbusters. Here's the Boutique Hotel. Potentially. Again, we'll move these around. And then there's the bookstore. Now notice with the bookstore, I built it as two because we could split this, the bookstore and the blue turquoise building that's next to it. We could split these if we have to, which we might to get the spacing correct. So let's put that there. So we'll fill in more of these, and then some of you can also it helps. So like right here, there's room for 2 modulars. This is the museum, which is wider than most. what you can do is we could put the museum here and then take something like the pet shop. Again, it was built to be split apart. Maybe the pet shop goes here and that apartment fills in that little gap. This apartment could be used to fill up another gap, maybe next to Assembly Square when we get it on the layout. So I think things are starting to come together here. You know, I think in as far as our building, we've got a few more to put in there, and it's at least starting out with this city. You know, we're going to get most of the outside filled, I think, by focusing on these modulars that we love. Then we can start focusing on filling in some things on the inside here. Now, going back to the goals we had talked about for what we wanted to accomplish with this city, you know, we've got the train, we've got the 360 layout, elevation changes, you know, that's something we haven't talked about yet. The other thing is having a lot of roads. And, you know, so we've got basically two roads here that intersect in the middle in this roundabout that we're planning. Still worried about having enough roads to display all of the vehicles that we have. I've run into this problem the last couple cities that I've put together. So here is kind of a idea that I've seen done some places and not some other, and you know, people do in cities. Take a look at this little mock thing that I built. Anybody want to guess what this is going to be? What I'm envisioning is a freeway going through this city. So tell you what, let's go. That's why I love doing the model like this. So let's move this and let's move these for now. And potentially, I think, let's see, what I'm envisioning is a freeway, elevated freeway, of course, that cuts right through the city like this. And I think it's going to give us, you know, again, more roads, and also it adds, you know, we talk about elevation changes and not having everything on the same plane. I think I love this idea. Now it's going to take a lot of pieces to build a freeway like we want, but we'll get to that. That's another problem for another day. Again, we're just spitballing some ideas here. That's why I love having this little mock. We can kind of build things and kind of play with them and see what happens. So here's the completed model for now. Roundabout in the middle, streets going out like spokes from the roundabout, and we've got modulars kind of penciled in mostly around the exterior for now. These areas that are in yellow, that would be area that is yet to be developed. Again, that's gives us some growth opportunities going forward. Hey, there's going to be another modular coming out in January, so we got a plan to make sure that gets included too. So again, I've got these roughed in right now. I've got a feeling once we get the thing actually built that we will probably reevaluate. But I think we have a pretty good overall plan. Now we need some roads, and I hope you're subscribing because that's going to be our next video.